How do you solve custody disputes? For a moment, just imagine that the question was, how do you cure a disease? The answer had probably been that you can cure some conditions with medicine, others with surgery, and some diseases cannot be cured at all. Exactly the same applies to custody disputes. Some custody disputes can be solved in one way, others in another way, and some of them cannot be solved at all. This video will give you a completely new understanding of how you can solve custody disputes. You will understand which custody disputes can be solved quickly, but not always so efficiently, which can be solved efficiently, but not always so quickly, and which cannot be solved at all. The courts do not have many different ways to solve these disputes. The most common one is that the court itself examines the dispute, but the courts can also use mediation. Mediation is when an impartial third person helps the parents to solve the dispute. Mediation may appear easy to use, but there are many different mediation methods. Some can be compared to curing illnesses with medicine, and some are more comparable to surgery. And it is far from obvious both when to use mediation and which mediation method to use. This video will answer 3 questions. Which custody disputes are possible to solve? When is it possible to solve them by mediation? Which mediation method ought to be used when the custody dispute can be solved by mediation? I have in various ways worked with relationships and conflicts for more than 30 years. I started my training to become a psychotherapist in the mid-80s, and after a few years, when I wanted to work with something other than lonely emotions, I decided to study law. When law seemed too black and white and impersonal, I spent 2 years studying conflict resolution and mediation. When I started working as a mediator in custody disputes in the late 1990s, I had a good basis to start from, or so I thought. But I have lived with a terrible frustration because for so many years I thought that all conflicts can be solved by mediation. I believe that I have tried all possible and impossible mediation methods during the years, and when I look back to what I did, I can only feel sorry for some of the parents who had to endure my attempts to develop a mediation method that can solve all custody disputes. Only in the last few years did I begin to understand what custody disputes really are about. And it was only when I started to understand that I began to understand why mediation does not work in all custody disputes. It was not a proud moment when I realized that all my efforts had more or less been a complete waste of time. But now, when the pieces are falling into place, everything becomes very simple. And this is what I discovered. There are 2 key words you need to remember about custody disputes: trust and worry. One of the minimum requirements for a working parental relationship is the ability to enter into lasting agreements. It may be possible to enter into agreements without a lot of trust, but to keep the agreement, you need quite a lot of it. And if there is anything parents in custody disputes lack, it is trust. The opposite side of trust is worry. Behind every statement of claim, there is some sort of worry. And as long as there is worry, it is difficult to build any trust. Some examples of worry that may be the reason for statements of claim. Worry that the other parent thinks of himself or herself first or becomes angry with the child. The worry makes it difficult to build trust that the other parent may give the child the love and comfort the child needs. Worry that the other parent does not think that the child needs two parents. The worry makes it difficult to build the trust that the other parent wants the contacts to work. The parents need to be able to enter into agreements in order to solve custody disputes voluntarily, for example by mediation. In order for them to enter into agreements, there needs to be a certain degree of trust between them, and in order for them to have any trust between them, there mustn't be too much worry. Are you beginning to see where I'm going? The bottleneck is the worry the parents feel between them. The worry needs to lessen for them to build trust. The worry may be more or less difficult to lessen by mediation, and different mediation methods are more or less suited for various types of worry. The worry can be divided into groups depending on what the worry is all about and how hard or easy it is to handle. The following images are parts of a simple pie chart representing all custody disputes, where the chart has been divided into different groups depending on what the worry refers to, and how easy or difficult it is for the parents to lessen their worry. The size of the groups, that is the pieces of pie, are based both on experience from more than 1,000 mediation assignments and on an empirical study of all custody disputes in Stockholm municipality in 2013. More studies are needed to gain a clearer view of the groups and how they are distributed. It's not the size of the groups that is important, but rather that it is possible to divide the custody disputes into different groups and that it is fairly easy to define the differences between the groups. A fairly small group of parents have a hidden agenda that is the real reason behind why they want sole custody or the residence or to reduce the other parent's contact. The parents in this group may be characterized by: the person with the hidden agenda does not really feel any worry. The reason behind the custody dispute is instead: I want sole custody to be able to move to Australia with our son, or I want to have my revenge on you for leaving me and our daughter, or I don't want your new partner to take my role as a parent. A hidden agenda is for obvious reasons difficult to discover. It is often shown by resistance towards building trust and exaggerated worry. Mediation is not practicable. The court ought to examine the dispute. Another small group of parents do have reason for the worry. It is not uncommon that parents think that they belong in this group, but unless the courts determine that reason for the worry is proven, the parents actually belong in the next group. The parents in this group are characterized by: there is an objective reason or evidence for the worry. The parent may be convicted of sexual abuse of children. The parent may be convicted of possession of drugs or intoxication. The parent may suffer from an established psychological illness, and one of the symptoms is severe mood swings. If there are objective reasons behind the worry, there is no reason for mediation. The court ought to examine the dispute. A relatively large group of parents are so certain their worry is legitimate that they lack any motivation to question their worry. In those cases, there is no possibility to start to build any trust to the other parent. The parents in this group are characterized by: at least one of the parents is completely certain, that is 100% certain, that his or her worry is legitimate. There are no established objective reasons for the worry. Neither of the parents has been convicted of any crime against children or any other offense or crime that may render the parent dangerous or unsuitable. Some of these parents have an obviously exaggerated worry, but there are parents in this group that do have reason for the worry. So very often it is necessary to undertake an investigation relating to custody, residence, and contact as a first step. After that, some of these parents may be more open towards negotiation, but most likely the court ought to examine the dispute. Another large group of parents don't want to or can't find the energy to be motivated to lessen their worry and to start to build trust. The parents in this group are characterized by at least one of the parents has given up all hope to reach any kind of cooperation or can't find the energy to try again. At least one of the parents feels threatened or exposed and doesn't dare to meet the other parent. Another reason can be that there are other legal proceedings that are not settled and that make it difficult for the parents to help each other to start building trust and lessen worry. There are actually two exceptions in this group. The first exception is one category of parents may be open towards making one last attempt. It may be possible to motivate them to agree on mediation based on lessening worry and building trust. Another exception is that another category of parents may be open towards negotiation on custody, residence, and contact. But most likely, the court will have to examine the dispute. A substantial part of all custody disputes is very difficult to solve. In about 50% of all custody disputes, the parents can for various reasons not lessen their worry enough to build the trust needed both to enter into agreements and also to keep the agreements. In some of the disputes, it may be possible to negotiate an agreement between the parents. But because of the parents' difficulties to build trust towards each other, it is often unrealistic to expect that the parents will reach a lasting agreement. Then we have the other 50%. In the remaining 50%, it is, at least in theory, realistic to expect the parents to reach a lasting agreement. The parents in these custody disputes want to achieve a functioning cooperation and are open towards building trust and help each other to lessen their worry. But, unfortunately, it is not possible to help this entire group of parents. Some of these parents are unfortunately very difficult to help, even if they truly want to build trust and lessen worry. It may be parents who have not processed their separation. There may be a range of emotions interfering. It may be parents who no longer share values. One parent may have started to actively practice their religion, and the other parent does not even share the same beliefs. It may be a parent who is involved in an active addiction or suffers from a mental illness that makes it difficult for them to build trust towards others and for others to build trust towards them. Unfortunately, mediation is rarely an effective way of helping this group of parents. Most often it is necessary for the court to examine the dispute. So, in reality, roughly 1/3 of all custody disputes remain. In about 1/3 of all custody disputes, it is realistic to expect the parents to reach all the way to a lasting agreement. Their problem is primarily that they don't know how to reach each other. As a contradiction, These are not seldom the custody disputes that are most difficult for the courts to handle. Both parents live normal lives and are often comparable as parents. It is impossible to decide that one of them is unsuitable as custodian or residence parent. Since the parents worry and their inability to communicate their worry with each other is so central to this dispute, these parents tend to return to the court in new custody disputes over and over again. This 1/3 of all custody disputes are most suitable for mediation that can achieve lasting agreements. Even if this group is made up of the custody dispute most suitable for mediation, the choice of mediation method is crucial for the result of the mediation. These are parents who carry a lot of worry, and even if they are prepared to work to lessen their worry, they are not prepared to negotiate their worry. Accordingly, it is not suitable to start the mediation with any form of negotiation. I would even claim that the effect would be detrimental. Only where the parents have lessened their worries sufficiently and built trust, it may be suitable to start negotiations between the parents about custody, residence, and contact. These disputes can be efficiently solved by mediation, but not always so quickly. It often takes time to lessen the worry enough to build enough trust to be able to enter into a lasting agreement. To lessen worry and build trust are key words for the type of mediation you ought to start with in this type of custody disputes. Negotiation, that is a type of mediation, may be a choice in some disputes. Even if you can't expect the parents to reach a lasting agreement, in some custody disputes it may still be justified to decide on mediation. Contrary to the custody disputes where the parents want to build trust and lessen worry, in these custody disputes it is not suitable to start the mediation by working with the parents' trust and worry. In these custody disputes, it is instead suitable exclusively to use negotiation as a mediation method. It may be possible to combine an agreement on custody, residence, and contact with an agreement on items that regulate how the parents are to handle everyday situations and how they are to treat each other. Such a combination may render the agreement more lasting. These disputes can often be solved quickly by mediation, but not always so efficiently. Since you neither work with worry nor trust, there is an obvious risk that the agreement will not last. If the parents have a working parental relationship in principle, they don't need to lessen worry or build trust, and only disagree on some single matter. Negotiations that help the parents solve the matter may lead to a lasting agreement. In summary, it may be possible to decide on mediation in somewhat more than half of all custody disputes. But it also means that in a bit less than half of all custody disputes, there is a major risk that the decision on mediation will not achieve any result at all and may even worsen the situation. And the choice between mediation method and type of custody dispute may be far more important than we believe. Mediation that primarily aims to negotiate between the parents may be the best solution for some disputes, but entirely wrong in others. And mediation that primarily aims to build trust and lessen worry may be a complete waste of time if the parents either can't or don't want to build trust and lessen worry. The next image is the conclusion of all types of custody disputes. It shows when it is suitable or unsuitable to decide on mediation and which type of mediation may be appropriate. The most efficient type of mediation. the type of mediation that enables the parents to build a working parental relationship, is possible to offer parents in about 1/3 of all custody disputes. Negotiation. That is a type of mediation that only aims to regulate the division of custody, residence and contact, and that does not address the parental relationship at all, is suitable in about 25% of all cases. If you are a parent already in or about the beginning of a custody dispute, you may now try to place yourself in the appropriate spot of this pie chart. Only focus on yourself for a moment and don't think about where the other parent may be placed. The first question you should ask yourself is whether you want a working parental relationship with the other parent. Are you prepared to put in energy and effort to enable both of you to build enough mutual trust? Are you prepared to put in energy and effort to enable both of you to lessen your worry? The worry may, for example, be that the other parent doesn't want you to be part of the child's life, or it might be worry that the other parent may show aggression towards the child, or worry that the other parent puts his or her own interest before that of the child, or it might be worry that the other parent won't listen to what you think is best for the child, but always instead gets what he or she wants first. Or it might be worry about something completely different. Regardless what your respective worries are, it is the worry that keeps you from building trust, and without enough trust, you can't build a working parental relationship. And if you can't reach the minimum requirements for a working parental relationship, it will be difficult for you to reach any lasting agreement. So, are you, together with the other parent, interested in helping each other to lessen your worry? If your answer is yes to these questions, you place yourself on the right-hand side of the chart. And it may be possible for the mediator to help you build trust and lessen worry. And once you have built enough trust, the mediator will help you negotiate an agreement on custody, residence and contact, combined with an agreement on items regulating how to handle everyday situations and how to treat each other. If the answer to any of the questions is no, you place yourself on the left-hand side of the chart. If you are open to negotiations about custody, residence and contacts, it may be possible to use mediation, but then it will be purely negotiations focusing on an agreement on the division of custody, residence and contact, possibly in combination with an agreement on items regulating how to handle everyday situations and how to treat each other. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to contact me, my contact information is here.